Microphone check. Everybody doing all right?
Yeah.
How are those shade tents, other than being too small?
There's nobody in the cab.
Hang on. Good morning and welcome to Union Pacific's STEAM. Good morning and welcome to Union Pacific's Big Boy 2021 tour. I'm Robin Tisfer and I'll be your moderator today. As many of you know, Big Boy embarked upon a 10-state tour on August 5th, leaving Cheyenne, Wyoming. We've gone through Colorado, a bit of Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and today we're here in New Orleans. And I am so sorry for the static here. Does this help a little bit? So, today we're going to be allowing you to ask questions of Ed Dickens. He is the manager of Union Pacific's Heritage Operations.
Thanks. I'm good.
And we're also live streaming this on Union Pacific's Facebook page, so we'll be taking some questions from our online audience as well. And with that, Ed?
Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to all our Facebook friends and all of our friends down here in New Orleans. Thank you for such a warm reception for the Big Boy and the crew. It's exciting for us as we travel with this locomotive. It never ceases to really amaze us how people are just fascinated with the Big Boy and the story of the Big Boy. One of the frequently asked questions that we receive is, why in the world did the Union Pacific do this? And I think if you look around in the crowd right now, you kind of come to the same answer. It's a great outreach opportunity. It's a great ambassador. The 844, the 3985, those steam locomotives for years served as a really great public relations ambassador. And what better way to launch a new era of UP steam than to do it with a big 4000. So it was my intention to have as much of my staff up here with me, but they've got work to do. So in their absence, I just want to recognize the tremendous work that they're doing as we speak. Austin's on the other side working on some cylinder cocks. A lot of the guys are working on issues back in the car. We're taking on water. And that's the story of a steam locomotive. That's the part that hasn't ever changed. A 1940 steam locomotive requires the same 1940s work. Well, we don't have a roundhouse down here at the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, so this is our roundhouse and our pit track. And here in just a little while, a couple of the guys are going to go underneath and do the work that you've got to do. Check on the levels of the roller bearings and just look on everything. Take a hammer and sound all the nuts and bolts. So lots of fascinating work here. Once again, just recognition to the guys that are doing the work right now behind the scenes, as they always do. We don't have many days off in the field. A steam locomotive sees to that, but we like it very much. So with that, we'll start our question and answer session. Robin is right over here, just in front of me, so if you have a question, let's just form a little queue line over there, and she'll start taking questions for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, and we have a line forming here. Here's our first question. Give us your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Bruce Bricker from Long Beach, Mississippi, and I was always concerned that you wouldn't come over this way because we don't have any rocks under us. It's all sediment. And do you worry about the train actually sinking in place? And that's just a short question.
His question was, do we worry about the locomotive sinking in place? And it does represent a tremendous footprint on the track structure, but it's 610 tons and 35 feet spread over 19 axles. So the individual loading is comparable to that of a modern diesel. The heavier footprint, of course, is the two water cars back there because their axle spacing is just a little bit closer. But Anywhere that most big modern railroads can go, the big boy can go. There's a lot of logistics that go into the planning aspect of that, curvature related issues, some bridge impact issues. But the modern American railroad network is very rugged and heavy duty and capable of withstanding the load.
Here's the next question.
Hi, I'm Marty Koch from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and my question, Ed, is I noticed that these 4884s were built in Schenectady, New York, and so they obviously were delivered from the east out to the mountain and western states. Were they ever used in the east, and if not, why not? I'm talking about 1940s technology, not modern day.
His question was, did everybody hear the question okay?
Yeah.
The question was, the big boys, were they used on other railroads? And the answer is no. They were designed and built and purchased by the Union Pacific for use on the UP network. They did travel, as you mentioned. They came from Schenectady. Most of the design is designed to work on a rail system, just like today. It's a big footprint, and it's wider, lower. So when we plan our engineering pieces of the logistics, which is the most important part of our planning for any travel, that's one of the things our clearance people always remind me of, that it's wide, low. When you look at what we call the erection drawing, it's the drawing or the clearance card, the drawing that railroads would use back in the 1940s to route heavy, large, oversized equipment to other railroads. And so they actually would tuck in little pieces and disassemble parts of the locomotive for shipment to Cheyenne. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
My name is Caden Sidman, and I'm from Orlando, Florida. And my question was, how many miles can the big boy travel before running out of fuel?
That's a very good question. It's one we get asked frequently. And how many miles can the big boy travel? Well, that'll segue off, and I think we'll wait, and we'll invariably have a diesel question, and I'll kind of jump on the additional part of that. But our range is roughly 220 miles, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider the fuel and the water consumption and just the general overall nature of the resources. In addition to fuel and water, we have lubrication. Just over here, I'm pointing right above the drive chain for the lubricator. You see a reservoir. That reservoir adds additional lubricating oil capacity, which extends our lubricating oil range up around 60-70 miles. So we've got fuel, oil, and lubrication. It also depends on how hot it is and how fast we're running. The grease that we use on the side rods is what's known as a stick grease or a hard grease.
Yep.
And it's like a candle wax,
Yep.
and it flows as the bearing temperature begins to heat up. So we can't ever run out of that for the obvious reason of burning a bearing up. Right. So to be on the safe side, we're always servicing our rods around 50 miles. So you think, if you look at our average day, a 200-mile day to us is a very big day. We need to stay focused on executing every little piece of it because we can't get behind because we'll run out of fuel and water. And that's why we have the diesel, but we'll likely answer that question more later.
My name is Anna. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and my question is, what kind of fuel doesn't run on and burn?
Number 5.
That's a very good question, Anna. It burns used motor oil, and it's referred to as burner fuel. So most of your asphalt batch plants use the same oil specification. It's a used motor oil. It's processed in a way that gets out undesirable components in motor oil, such as bearing metals and things of that nature, antifreeze. And then a slight amount of diesel fuel is added just to bring up what they call the flat